Okay, so I'm gonna start with this guy. This is the Makeup Revolution this is the Makeup Revolution blush palette. I keep this kind of like over in my highlighter loose highlight section because it has a row of 4 highlighters, but it also has 4 blushes that I really, really love. I've used these two the most, but I really like all of them. I find them to be like pretty pigmented actually. Like you might want to be a tiny bit careful. They're not the worst, they're not like the strongest thing that you like can't blend out or anything, but they're pretty pigmented and I actually really like them. They're very blendable. They look matte in the pan, but they kind of give you that like glow from within, like natural skin finish. So really like those. This is kind of a mess over here. I'm just outgrowing my drawers very rapidly, so I'm gonna get new Alex drawers soon, but until then it's just a little bit of a mess. So I have a lot of e.l.f. blushes. I have these two from my huge e.l.f. haul. These are the primer infused blushes and I absolutely adore these. I only use this once and I haven't fake tan in a while. I feel like this will look better on me when I tan. It's just a little bit much when I'm pale, but this one is absolutely gorgeous. And I've swatched both of these recently because I just love them so much. Again, it's more like a skin-like glow from within finish. And I really do find that they last a long time. I wore this blush to a concert, and oh, there's a third one. Just kidding. Haha, there's a third one. I wore this one to a concert, and I was like sweating my ass off, and it still lasted all night. And usually on anybody, blush is like the first thing to go, so that's pretty impressive. And then I have these two. These are like the, I don't know, blush. These are like the $2 blushes that e.l.f. has, and I freaking love both of these. This one I kind of use more either when I'm tan or like as a bronzer topper if I want it to be a little bit more reddish, warmish. But I use this pink eye. I've had this for forever. You can kind of tell it's a little bit more beat up than the rest, but yeah, really pretty. I got this one in my haul, but this one I've had for forever and I love both of them. So this is one of the mineral blushes that e.l.f. has, and it's really purpley. And I haven't used this in a really long time. I don't know why, honestly. I remember really liking it. I just don't really reach for purpley blushes like this very often, so I need to do that. But I really do like the formula of this blush. Then I have these blushes from e.l.f., which are like, I think, are these their most popular blushes other than like the primer infused ones? It's kind of that like NARS packaging type of feel. These are so freaking pretty. This one I use a little bit more as like a blush topper on top of other ones to make them super glowy. It's like a super glowy apricot color. I can just use this honestly like all over my face to add like a glow over my blush and my bronzer. This one is Candid Coral. It's really pretty. And then these two are really great blushes. Like I'll use these and then like top it with this all the time, and they are absolutely wonderful. These are great on their own, but I always just reach for this too. Then I have this other thing from MAC. I think when I bought it, it was actually marketed as a blush, but it's really just, it's really nice and shiny and beautiful, and I like to use it as a blush topper or like a bronzer topper, just like the e.l.f. one. It's pretty orangey, but honestly, I think maybe it's just my preference, but I also feel like more orangey tones look really good on my skin. So that's why I kind of go for those really candid, not candid, but really orangey, corally kind of colors. This is a cream blush that I have in the shade Natural. This is from NYX. I freaking love this. I used to use this to death. I've been using other cream blushes right now, but this is really great. I freaking love these. This works really great with a brush, a sponge, or just with your fingers. I got this in high school and I used to put it on with my fingers all the time, and it was so beautiful. I loved it. I would get compliments and people would ask me where my blush was from all the time. It's so beautiful. And I find that you don't have to really set this one. It doesn't like have a cream to powder formula. It stays creamy on your face, but it stays put, and I really, really love that. So you won't have to like put a powder blush on top of it to keep it in place. I have one butter blush in the shade Natural Glow. This one is okay. It's a little bit firm in the pan, so you really have to get in there with like a stiff brush, which I don't normally do. I normally use a big fluffy brush for my blush, but that's okay. I really just use this as a blush topper. I have never, it's just not really pigmented enough or colorful enough for me to use as like a blush, but that's okay. I like it as a blush topper. It's really pretty. I want to pick up more of the butter blushes and butter highlights and the new shades of the butter bronzer. So, okay, I'm going to get out my Milani blushes all together. I used to have every single shade, but if y'all remember me talking about how the cats peed on my Alex drawers, they peed, my blushes used to be like right where this little crevice is, and they peed like right in the hole and got pee like all over my blushes. So I had to throw a bunch of them out. So the ones that I've repurchased so far are those two, the really pigmented ones. I very rarely use these. I usually use them for like Halloween looks and stuff like that, or very, how do you say, like editorial looks, because they're so pigmented. They're so pigmented and bright. The ones that I use on a daily basis are Berry Amore, Rose de Oro, and Luminoso, of course. I really need to repurchase Coralina as well. I do like that shade. It's not everybody's favorite because it has that glitter in it, but I like that kind of corally shade on myself, and I find if you just kind of flick your brush, it'll flick the glitter off of your face and just leave a really nice coral glow. So then I have some Revlon blushes. These I've also had since high school because I just, some of my makeup is so sentimental that I just don't get rid of it. So, This is in the shade Blushing Berry. Now, Revlon does that thing where they like show you the blush just in the window and then like half of it's freaking gone because that stupid brush is in there that nobody uses, but whatever. This is really, really pretty. I don't repurchase Revlon anymore because they're not cruelty free, but it's really pretty. And same for this. I would use this every day in high school if I wasn't using the cream blush, and then top it with this, which is the Rose Glow Highlight from Revlon. And it's just really pretty. So, but again, I just kind of keep it for nostalgia. I don't really use them anymore or reach for them, and I don't purchase Revlon anymore because they're not cruelty free. And Revlon's really stupid expensive for the drugstore, and they proved that even more when they came out with that stupid Flush line. I hated everything from that line. Anyway, so this is super old. You can't like even read it anymore. This is a Hard Candy Glow All the Way. I don't know what shade it's in, and I don't think they make it anymore because all they have is the trio highlights now. This is just a really pinky highlight that I use as like a super glowy blush or a blush topper. It was technically a highlight when I bought it, but it's too pink for me to use as just a highlight, so that's how I use it. Then I have all of these beauties. Oh my goodness. So I bought this Fantastic Pink recently because I have a couple like looks in mind that I want to be really pink for. But I also have Rose Champagne or Rosé Champagne, and let's see, Apricot in the middle, Mellow Wine, and what's the last one? Oh no, I ripped off the thing. I don't remember the last one, the name of it. But they're all freaking beautiful. These Wet n Wild Color Icon blushes. Honestly, Wet n Wild Color Icon anything is fucking bomb. So you need it in your life. They're so good. I need all the blushes, all the bronzers. I'm still kind of repurchasing blushes and bronzers because this is the drawer that the cats peed on. And yeah, I really need to get my collection back. I mean, I obviously don't need to because not a single person needs this much makeup. But yeah, I really love Color Icon from Wet n Wild bronzers, blushes, face powder, and the Milani baked products. Really, really great. So I'm just working on repurchasing that after all of that got ruined. Oh yeah, and I am missing the Burt's Bees blushes. All of my Burt's Bees blushes got ruined. They're absolutely beautiful, stunning, wonderful. Love them so much. I don't know if I'm going to repurchase them because they're technically not cruelty free and they're not like vegan or anything because they use honey products obviously, but we'll see what happens. I'm not sure. I'm going to look into like where they source their stuff from, but yeah, those are really great. The Burt's Bees blushes. I bought them off of Kathleen Light's recommendation, and everything she says about those are totally true. They're freaking beautiful. So Then I have a couple more cream blushes. I have 2 of the 3 shades that I have seen of the Wet n Wild makeup stick blushes. I freaking love these. These are so beautiful. I've used these in a bunch of recent videos, so I will link those as well when I'm using them. And then I have from my haul this little e.l.f. multi-stick, and I really like this. I've used this a few times, as you can tell. I've used this on my lips and on my face, and I find it really, really pretty. But I don't use it when I'm doing like full coverage makeup. I use this on like a no makeup day because this is kind of like a cream to powder formula, and I don't like that finish when I'm doing like a full coverage glam type of look. But on a no makeup day or really light fresh makeup day, these are wonderful. And this layer is really nice on just like bare skin with like lotion on it too. So really love this, and it's super, super pretty. There's a few different shades in this too, so I'm sure you'll be able to find one. This one's in Glistening Peach. I always go for peachy shades. Then I have this ombre blush from NYX. Now, I like the color. The ombre part is such a gimmick because this like light part up here is 100% an overspray of just like gold glitter basically, or gold shimmer, which is kind of unfortunate because it is such a cool, pretty idea, and I really like this fiery orange color. Very pigmented. I do use this super sparingly, and I use it a lot more when I'm tan. I can still use it when I'm fair, but I really reach for this when I'm super tan. So yeah, it's just unfortunate that that's like so gimmicky because you can already see like that. I've used this, I mean, I've used it a lot, but you can just tell it's complete overspray, which is just really annoying. But whatever. They're cool if you still want them. I like NYX products in general, so I think their blushes in the square packaging are better than this. Let's see. Oh, I have another Milani blush hiding back here. I don't have a lot of these. Again, they got freaking peed on and ruined. Not just peed, the cats spray, which is totally different. It's like them marking their territory with this gross stink, and it's terrible. So I had all the other shades of this. This is the only one that wasn't ruined at all. These are beautiful. Nobody ever freaking talks about these guys. They're freaking beautiful. I almost reach for this more than some of the baked blushes. Like sometimes, man, the baked blushes are nice, but these are so silky and beautiful. These remind me a lot of the Burt's Bees ones. Just a little bit, like you pick up less on your brush. The Burt's Bees ones, like a lot picks up on your brush at one time. These aren't like that. This is in the shade Romantic Rose, and I think they recently came out with new shades of this as well, like in this packaging. These are gorgeous, and they're super sturdy. I like traveling with these a lot because they're really nice and sleek, way more sleek than the baked products, so these are really great for that. Then I have 2 e.l.f. blush palettes. One is a cream palette, and then one is powder. I love this cream palette. Oh my gosh, I love this. But oh my gosh, this cream palette, holy balls, it is so freaking nice. I use every single shade in this. It is absolutely wonderful. Hello, you can see me. Hi. I use every single shade of this. It's so beautiful and wonderful. I love it so freaking much. Yeah, I just don't reach for this as much. These are great, but I really only use like these 2 colors because these are too like dark and pigmented, and these e.l.f. these e.l.f. products are so pigmented. But yeah, I just don't reach for this as often unless I'm doing like a really editorial look. I'll reach for these, but I just use these 2 the most. I like these palettes from Lush. I like these palettes from e.l.f. because you can pop these out. If you can see, you just push back here and you can pop them out and create your own palette. So I could create like a mix of cream and powder and like take this traveling, or a mix of bronzer and blush and highlight and take it traveling. I really like that part of palettes, and it's hard to find a palette that is that cool and intricate at the drugstore, and I think e.l.f. did a really good job with these. So I really slowed down these clips so I could show you kind of what I'm talking about. So for this one, I'm starting with the Makeup Stick Blush, and this one is in a very like, I guess, similar skin tone to me. Like it's very light, so I'm gonna go in with that just with the stick. And this is also a more of a sheer-ish formula, but as you can see, it's very close to my skin tone, just like peachier. So if you're having trouble being heavy-handed, that is like the first place I would start, is by finding a very sheer blush and something that's kind of closer to, that almost looks like your skin tone, just like slightly more pink or slightly more coral. And then as you can see with my brush, I'm kind of like tapping to blend it out. And the area that I like to do blush in is kind of on the apples of my cheeks and blending it back into my bronzer. And then with my bronzer, I start at the back of my cheekbone and blend it forward. So with this, I'm going in with an e.l.f. cream blush, and it's a little bit more pink and way more pigmented. So you can see I put just a tiny, tiny bit where I want the most pigment and then blend it out with a damp sponge. A damp sponge is going to give you less payoff because it's going to soak up a little bit more pigment than a brush. So again, that's one thing you can do if you're finding that it's being a little bit too like much on your cheeks. I mean, I personally like a lot of blush on myself, but it's totally up to you. So this is like a super bright blush, and you'll see that I tap into it and then I dust a lot of it off and kind of like pounce it into the brush. And then when I'm on my skin, I'm with a super light hand and I just really blend it out. And I still blend onto the apples of my cheeks, like almost directly under my eye, but once a lot of that pigment has left my brush, and there's still a tap and blend motion happening. So hopefully this was a little bit helpful, and you can see the kind of blush formulas that I go for, very like glowy, natural, like your skin but better, glow from within type of blushes. They all have a little bit of a glow to them. Excuse my appearance right now, it's very late when I'm doing this, but I tried to get a few different clips from like different videos of me using different blushes and different techniques and stuff. But I will say a lot of the time I don't like do blush as a part of my contour. Like I always just do like the apples of the cheeks and blend it back. And I feel like that suits every skin, or not every skin tone, obviously. It suits, to me, like in my opinion, that suits every face shape, because I have never done anyone's makeup to completely change how they look or change their face shape or anything like that. When I do contouring and bronzer on me or anybody else, it's to enhance what you already have, not to really change anything. So then after the bronzer and the highlight and all that, I put the blush on pretty much as the last step to kind of mesh those two things together. And I always just do apples of the cheeks and blend it back into the bronzer. And then if I feel like maybe it's a little bit muddy, I will go back in with the bronzer blush and blend the entire cheek, almost like the whole thing all at once. Because you want it to look cohesive. Even though we know it's makeup, you want it to look nice and cohesive and blended, obviously. Blended, like natural, like almost a natural flush to the cheeks, blending into your sun-kissed bronzer. You know what I'm saying? So hopefully that helped you. I tried to slow these clips down enough to help you out. But yeah, if there's anything else, the only thing that I can think of is if you want to keep that bright triangle, put your blush on and then take your powder brush and tap over like this area where your blush would be, if you really want to keep that triangle bright under eye. Other than that, I don't really think I have any other tips. Just find a good shade, find a sheer blush, and practice. Practice, practice, practice. It's very beneficial to buy drugstore makeup that you like, because it's a little bit better to, or it's easier to replace, because you gotta just practice. Just practice. And I like really fluffy brushes for my blush. Nothing too dense or you're gonna get way too much color payoff. Natural hair brushes, or like just a fluffy brush in general. I really like Real Techniques. I think this is a bronzer. No, this is their blush brush. Really love this. Fluffy, fluffy brushes. Sheer blushes. Fluffy, fluffy brushes and sheer blushes. Okay, that's a tongue twister. I'm going to go to bed. I don't think I have anything else to say, so wherever you are, whatever you're doing, just have a good one. Bye. Leave any questions you have down below and I'll try to explain it to you the best I can if you need any more help. Bye.